All right. All right. Good evening, everyone. Once more, or good afternoon, good morning. Welcome to this session. It's been a tough one for me to put the slides together. Normally, this is like the 6 months program for anybody who is going through this program. So it's not been very easy for me summarizing everything in a way that it will be understandable. So I'm not an expert presenter, but I'll try my best. Okay, so today we are looking at budgeting as a way of setting up our money management system. Often I know that the term budgeting it sounds as though it's restrictive to people, and many people don't like the word, but we'll ditch that word in a minute and we'll use something better. So I'm a financial coach, as you know, and I do work with money on a daily basis. And I work with businesses for the most part of my job, but I decided to start working with individuals because I realized, even from my own experiences and my own shortfalls, that even though businesses do a lot of things to keep their businesses afloat, to keep them going, and to keep them financially stable, but we as individuals, we don't do that. And as a result of the fact that we don't do that, we find ourselves in financial difficulties. We find ourselves in situations which make us stressed out because of money issues. And I realized that you could take the stress out of money and make things better for us if we just are able to understand money better and have a better relationship with money. And which is what we are going to be talking about today. It's all about somebody's talking. It's all about us establishing a good relationship with money, and then understanding money better, and working with ourselves on what we can do with our money to make life easier for us, and to make to live better with money. So what are we going to be covering today? We are going to be covering why you need your own money management system, why your previous attempts at budgeting may not have worked, and how to create a budget that works. So like I said earlier, the word budget has a bad reputation because many people feel that it's restrictive. Many people feel that when you're asked to budget by the virtue of its name, we think that it's stopping you from spending your money, it's stopping you, or it sounds as though you have to pinch, or you have to live in a way that shows other people that you don't have, or something like that. But that's really not true. Budgeting is just a way of managing your money better. It's a way of keeping track of your money. It's a way of understanding what you're actually doing with your money, and it actually makes you spend your money in the right places, so that you can actually spend your money where you want. You can spend your money in those places where you really want to spend it and feel happy about it without feeling guilty and all of that. So often I often will keep the word budget aside, and I call it a conscious spending plan. So let's ditch the word budget and say we will be talking about a conscious spending plan, a plan that you set for yourself on how to understand your money and how to spend your money in a better way. So what is your spending plan? It's a tool that will help you plan your spending better. Sorry about that. It doesn't restrict you. It rather gives you the liberty to spend what you really to spend your money where you really want to spend on. And it doesn't mean that you have to give up on the things that you like. So it will rather help you to position your money in a way that you spend it, rather than spending it randomly and not understanding where your money goes. You rather spend your money on the things that you really want to spend your money on. Many times we meet people especially those of us who are in the working class. We meet a lot of people who earn a lot of money, but then they always say, I don't know where my money is gone. Where my money don't go. Most of the time, by the time the month goes halfway, our money is gone. And we are like, where did my money go? Most people they are not able to account for where their money is gone. And unfortunately, the way the world is today, especially our Western world where we are, we have this facility, this credit facility that makes it so easy for people to just get out their credit cards and just spend money on the go. So people spend money without thinking. And before you know it, you have all this debt, you have all these loans sitting there, credit card debt, which is the worst type of debt that you can have. We have all of this debt sitting there, and then we spend our money paying back this debt without really being accountable. So we don't have any emotion when we are spending this money, but then we feel the pinch, and that has a huge impact on our families when we are paying this money back. And that is what those are the type of things that we want to address and avoid, so that we can have our money and spend it better and understand where our money goes. So becoming very good at creating your money, your spending plan means that you put your finances in good health. It means that you're on your way to financial stability. And if you become really good at it, then you become financially stable, because it's going to help you to analyze your finances. And how does it do that? It does that by helping you to answer two basic questions when you have your money. So, are you spending more than you earn? This is the primary foundation of anybody who wants to achieve financial stability. Anybody at all, irrespective of what amount of money you have, irrespective of what class you are in, irrespective of anything that you're doing. This is the basis of anything financial. If you want to achieve success in any financial dealings that you're making, whether you're in business, whether you're an individual, anything at all. If you cannot answer that question on whether you're spending more than you're earning, irrespective of where your money is coming from, then it becomes a problem. Because everybody who is financially stable, anybody who is successful with money, will aim at ensuring that they spend less than they earn. And unfortunately, most people don't do that, because, like I said before, they spend on the go. They have credit facilities that they have available to them, and they swipe as they go. So it doesn't matter. They don't know how much they are spending is within their means. They just spend as they go along. I have a client that I worked with a few months back, and he's a medical doctor, and he earned about 150K a year, 150,000 pounds a year. That's a huge amount of money, right? And he's not married. He doesn't have children. And he lives in a 2-bedroom property, and he gives one of the rooms out for rent. And he actually claims rent a room. We have something here called rent a room relief, and he claims rent a room relief because if you take rents up to £7,500, you don't have to pay any taxes on it. So he claims that. So in addition to his £150,000 that he earns from his wages, he earns another £7,500 a year that he doesn't pay any taxes on. But he is always in huge amounts of debt. Like, he owes a huge amount of taxes. He's always very nervous because his money, he can't account for it. He has no pension set up. He has nothing. He just lived on the go, and I couldn't help but wonder, like, this is a huge amount of money. Where does it go to? And that's just down to the fact that he just spent the money on the go. I used to work in the city. I used to work in Canary Wharf, London City before, and my colleagues would leave work, and they come to work in the morning. They buy a cup of coffee, which is like £5 in the middle of the city. They buy some stuff for breakfast, and before they know it, they spend about £10 for breakfast. And then lunchtime, they go out with their friends, they hang out with their friends, and they spend about £15 on lunch. And when they leave work, they want to hang around the office, taking a bottle of beer here and there, drinking here and there. And before you know it, again, that evening, they've spent another £20-30. And, put that together, that's like £50, almost getting to £50 a day that they spend, and that goes on and on and on. And all this spending, remember, they just give me the money, they use their credit card swipe, that's it. They move on. In the afternoon, they use their credit card swipe, that's it, and they move on. Evening, same thing. Now that's £50 a day. Work that out of the 22 working days in a month that you have. And by the end of the month, how much is that? You have a credit card bill that is mounting and mounting and mounting. Before you know it, you have a spiral effect on your credit, on a debt that is sitting there, which is the worst type of debt that you can think about, consumer debt. Money that you spend on just eating stuff that you have no accountability for. So unfortunately, that's how many people live their lives. They go about like that without thinking, without making any plan, nothing. And they just spend on the go. So the foundation of the success of anybody who wants to be financially stable depends on you knowing and understanding that you have to spend less than you earn. If you're not doing that, then you're in trouble, definitely. And then the second thing is, when you're spending your money, you want to ask yourself that, can I afford that? And that goes back again, falls back to the first question, because if you don't even know how much, if you're not able to work out how much you're spending as opposed to how much you're earning, then you never stop by to ask yourself the question, can I afford this? Because the only reason why you stop by and ask those questions, whether you can afford something, is when you know, or you know exactly what your position is financially. And in that case, then you can ask yourself that question when you're able to spend, when you're about to spend money, because you're conscious. So it's all about conscious spending and making decisions that suit our needs. So, like I said before, why do you need your own money management system? Because you need to make strategic decisions with your money. It's not that it's going to restrict you from spending. Do you need a gym membership, or do you need to pay? Do you want to pay for a gym membership, or do you want to pay for a great pair of shoes that you want? The reason why I pick these examples is I don't want to pick an example which is an obligation. Like, I don't want to pick something like your rent, for example, which you have to pay. The reason why I pick this is because these are expenses that are within our control. So these are expenses that you can totally live without. But I just wanted to show you that side of it, where you're spending your money on what you really want to spend on and not just spending the money randomly. That's why I picked these two examples, because there's somebody who go absolutely without these two and they're okay. So I picked two random expenses that are controllable, that you can go without, but that you spend on because of the fact that you want to spend on them, not because of the fact that you have to spend on them. So you could see somebody who is paying for a gym membership, and because they like to go to the gym, because they want to work out, because they want to achieve something out of that. On the other hand, you have somebody also who really likes shoes, and they want to spend their money on their shoes without feeling guilty about it. So you see, these two people, they can all buy these things without feeling guilty. Why? Because they made a plan for it. They plan for it, and the money that they plan for it, and they save for it. So that when they start spending that money on those things, they are not feeling guilty, because they've taken care of everything else that they needed to take care of. And they've also planned towards those things, so that when they spend that money on that thing, it's not like they are letting go of something that they need to spend money on that they haven't done, and then they're spending money on this. So that's why it is really important for you to have your own money management system, because it helps you to spend your money on those things that you really want to spend on. If you're not spending money on, if you're not deciding on what you want to spend your money on, it means that your money is random, right? I'm sure you would have heard the word, you would have heard people say, if you don't assign what your money will work on, your money is going to go away. It's going to go about and do whatever thing it wants to do. But on the other hand, money is a very good messenger. If you send your money on a working trip, the money is going to do exactly what you asked it to do for you, and it's going to be a good worker for you. So it is a foundation of your financial planning. And without a plan, like I said, your money has no direction, and it's going to be spent in the wrong places. It helps you identify what categories on which to spend your money on. And it also helps you to be mindful of what you can afford and what you cannot afford. It also helps you take personal responsibility and accountability to yourself for your money. We work hard for our money, and we owe it to ourselves to be accountable for how we spend that money that we work so hard for. So if your money management system is done the right way, you discover that you're less likely to end up in debt. Like I was giving the example of the credit card before, you discover that you will not have like a whole lot of credit card debt sitting there, because rather than spend money on your credit card every day without any control, you will spend cash. So because if you hold cash in your hand, and you're most of the time when we hold cash in our hand and we're actually taking the money is leaving your hands and you can feel it. It becomes emotional. So you if you hold £50 in your hand and you were going to spend that money on all those things that I listed earlier, you discover that you'll be more conscious that, oh, I have £50 with me, now it's all gone. Wow. So you'll be more conscious of that, as opposed to when you're swiping your credit card without thinking about it. So you're less likely to end up in debt when you have your own money management system in place, and then you're less likely to be caught up with unexpected costs as well. Why? Because you've planned for them. Yes, I know that we have life happens, situations happen to all of us, and we do have things that come up every day. But yes, those things, if you plan properly as well, and you set up like an emergency fund, you will discover that sometimes, even though we get caught up, but sometimes the burden will be less. Even if you don't have all of it at a particular point in time, the burden will be less for you. And even if you were going to go out for financing because something came up, but that financing aspect will not be too much for you, you'll be able to handle it because you are in a better position to do it. And then you're more likely to have a good credit rating as well. Credit is a very important part of our finances in the Western world, because every single thing that we do is tied to credit. So renting a property, getting a mortgage, even your telephone bill, is all tied to credit. So and this, what does this credit do for you? The interest rate that you pay on everything else that you get is tied to how good you are with credit, because that is what employers use. Sorry, that is what suppliers use to tell themselves whether you're trustworthy or not, whether they can trust you with their money. And if you have a poor credit, you know that if at all these suppliers agree to give you credit, it's going to be on a very high interest rate, as opposed to somebody who has good credit, maintain a good credit. That tells these lenders that you're trustworthy, they can trust you, and in that case, you're less risky for them. So they give you a loan, or they give you their line of credit on a lower interest rate. And having a lower interest rate also means that you keep more of your money in your pocket, because when you have a high interest rate, that means a lot of money is going out of your pocket, and that's how your money goes. One of my other clients as well, she had a loan from the bank of this one is actually in Cameroon, and she had a loan from the bank of 6 million that she took out for something. And the only thing she thought of, she went to the bank and they said, oh, your interest rate is going to be 2% a month. And being unaware, so she got excited, oh, 2%. That's the only thing she felt, oh, it's going to be 2% a month, and that's it. And she got excited. So when we started working together, I'm like, your interest, so I was like, your interest rate is 2% a month. She said, yes. She said, yeah, that's why I took it, because it's cheap. I'm like, is it really cheap? Like, your annual percentage rate is 24%. And she was like, what? I'm like, yeah, your annual percentage is 24%. But at the end of the year, you would have paid 24%. So by the time you finish paying off your loan, you would have paid more than half, more than 3 million, which is more than half of that money to the bank on interest. So we don't take these things into consideration. We don't look at them, even like your car loan and all of that stuff. You don't look at the interest rate and the impact on which it has on your finances. And that's why when we have all these financing options going on, our money goes and we don't realize it, because at the end of the month, you're paying, even if you're very good at planning your money. But then you have financing options that are of high interest rate. You discover that most of your money is going on interest, and you're not realizing it because you don't have very good credit, and you're paying very high interest. So your money disappears in that way, and you're not aware. So these are all things that will help when you're conscious. They help you in your planning as well. So, like I said, you're more likely to be accepted for a mortgage or a personal loan at good interest rates as well. And then when you have your own money management system, of course, you'll be able to look at your spending, and you'll be able to identify those areas where you can save money on yourself, because you're conscious. You will be able to pick out areas where you can save money on. For example, if there are lots of people who pay a lot of subscription, which is one thing hopefully we'll cover later on. But people pay a lot of subscription. You see, like you have cable, you have Netflix, you have Amazon Prime, you have all of these things, Disney and all of that stuff, that they offer the same service. And we how many times do you even sit there in a week to even watch all of these things? But you see that people have so many subscriptions. They have newspapers here and there that they subscribe for, and you put somebody's subscriptions together, and they're like 30% of their money that they're paying for subscription. They're not even using these services. Like, what services are you? Even people who go to the gym, sometimes you discover that somebody will pay for a gym subscription, and maybe they go to the gym once a week, or like twice in a month, and you're paying a gym subscription. You discover that if you're thinking about your money properly, you realize that it may be cheaper for you to pay your gym membership on the go, pay as you go, as and when you need it, rather than paying a subscription, because you may think that it's cheaper for you to pay a subscription, but it's not, because you're looking at what value, what service what is the value of the service you're getting for your subscription. So those are things that we think about, and you save us money if you're conscious of your spending. And then if you're conscious of your spending as well, I call it guilt-free spending. You will now be able to, that's why I talked about the shoes earlier. You'll be able to spend money in those areas where you're not feeling guilty about it, because you plan your money in a way that you have your buckets for different things that you can save on. You put money in a bucket for your holiday, you put money in a bucket for your shoes, you put money in a bucket for a new car if you want, and anything that you want, you'll be able to plan and put money in a bucket for it, so that when you're spending that money, it's carefully planned money, and you're not feeling guilty. You're not feeling guilty of going out there, seeing a good pair of jeans that you really like and buying it, because you planned it. You put money in a guilt-free spending bucket, and you can buy whatever you want to buy with it, and you're not feeling guilty because every other area is taken care of. So so we may be asking ourselves that, okay, we maybe you think about these things, but you've tried as well. You've tried to make a budget in the past and it hasn't worked. And you may be wondering that, but what happened? That's because money is emotional, like I said earlier, and it's really down to our attitude, our beliefs, and our mindset around money, our behavior around money, the values that you have when it comes to your money. So money, like anything else in life, is really, really down to our attitude towards money. It begins with managing your emotions. It begins with managing your beliefs and your thoughts. You need to understand where your money beliefs come from. And then when you understand that, you will then be able to work on your own financial habits so that you can make things better for yourself. I'll give you an example. I have a friend who likes shoes. They don't buy these shoes because they don't buy the shoes because they need them, because they now have a lot of shoes. And it's not that they need these shoes. They are buying these shoes because when they were young, they didn't have shoes. Like their parents didn't buy them a lot of shoes when they were young. So they used to wear their brother's shoes, or they will sometimes they'll go without shoes. And because of that, now that they are all grown up and they can afford shoes, they decided to buy shoes. Like, they'll buy any type of shoe that they want, because now I can afford it. I'll buy any type of shoe that I want to buy, to show that now like they feel good just going out there and just buying shoes. They feel good. They buy the shoes. They are lying about it. They don't need these shoes, but just because they have that mindset, they have that belief in the past that, oh, now I didn't have these shoes in the past, but now I can afford it. I can afford any type of shoe that I want. I'm going to go and buy these shoes. So you see, those are things that, yes, they affect us in one way or the other as we grow up. And it's not your fault, obviously, that you're being impacted that way. But then it's about being conscious, when you then have an understanding of your money beliefs, and you know where they are coming from, and you know the emotions that trigger your spending, then it is easier for you to work on these things and and get them sorted. And so you want to know when you're buying something, you want to start trying to notice the thoughts, your thoughts. What thoughts do you have when you're making this purchase? What are you thinking? What are your emotions? I have another notification. What are your thoughts when you're spending money? What are the emotions you feel when you're spending your money? Are you spending this money on something that you believe that you need or that you want, or that you need, or you just want it because of the fact that you lived in lack in the past, and this will make you feel better at this particular point in time. So what is it? What are those emotions? What are those thoughts that drive your spending? So do your money decisions come from a position of fear? Are you scared of what people think about you, or what other people, what impression other people have about you, or you're actually in a situation where you need to control the situation, and that's why you're spending your money? Do you trust yourself with your money? Are you making your decisions from a position where you trust yourself with your money, or like I said earlier, from a position of fear? Are you open to yourself with what your previous beliefs are about your money that are not helping you? So most people out here from our African communities, we grew up in lack of one thing or the other. And so we've been known as a community of consumption. Last week I was talking to my former landlady, and she was telling me about African parties that she goes to, and she realizes that there's a lot of spending. There's a lot of spending. People spend so much money, and she's like, she was wondering why we spend so much money on our parties, and people want to dress in a way that shows that they are on top of the world. And she was trying to compare our community with other community parties that she's gone to. And when you go to a British party, for example, like high-end party, you still discover that they serve sandwiches, they serve things that are affordable. But when they go to our African parties, they discover that it's all very lavish and all that. And she was wondering that is it that we earn more money than everybody else earns? What is the objective? And we talked about it and we smiled about it, but I felt really bad about it, because we have been identified as a community that wants to show off something. Like somebody will go out and spend so much money on their credit card because they want their party to be the talk of the town. They're not thinking of the consequences of those things, because it's not about what they are celebrating. It's not about the meaning of what they are celebrating. It's about what other people would think about my party. My party has to stand out. My party has to be the talk of the town. That is the thought. That is the type of thinking around our spending. So we self-sabotage because of the fact that makes us feel better. It seems as if that increases our self-worth. It's like our self-worth is tied to those things. Our self-worth is tied to what other people will see on the outside. And then we go back and we are struggling with this debt that we've incurred in trying to show people that we are on top when we are not. So it's about thinking about all of these things and asking yourself, what is it that drives your spending? Other things that self-sabotage, like I said, not tracking your expenses. Because when we do this, we are not thinking about what we are spending. We spend. It's not we do haphazard spending. It's not intentional. And then we ignore paying our bills. Of course, if you don't think about your spending and you spend so much, you're going to get to a point where those bills that you really need to pay, you're not paying them, or you're paying them late, and then this affects us in one way or the other. We are afraid of we are afraid of failing. We are afraid of rejection from other people, and then we go about and we spend money in a way that we don't plan, that we don't think about, and these things do affect us in other areas of our lives. And then there's something called impostor syndrome as well. like for people who may not even want to show off, but we sometimes feel that we are not worthy or we are not deserving enough of making some financial decisions that will make us stand out. And then we want to show off in a negative way. We want to show that I'm here as well. I have arrived, and that outward appearance, we think that showing off in our outward appearance determines who we are, which is not true, because then we end up fighting within us when we are now in the process of our own homes, and that causes us financial problems. So it is important that you start noticing your thoughts around your spending. You start noticing your emotions around your spending. What is it that drives your spending? How do you feel when you're spending money? So if you want to change your results, you need to change those beliefs. You need to change your thinking. You need to change all of these. And then you identify them and you acknowledge them. And that's how you're going to start. Because when you identify these things, you acknowledge them, then you can make informed decisions on how you can change them. If you have any questions as I'm talking, if you have any questions, please do ask. You can stop me and ask any questions if you have any question. And then, so if you've identified your emotions and your thoughts around your money, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So when you've identified your thoughts and your feelings around your money, you now want to think about your values. You want to think about your intentions. And then you want to also think about your needs and what do you really need? What do you want? What will having more money with you allow you to do? What are those things that you want to achieve with your money? Remember, money is always just a tool. Money is a tool that is used to do things. It's nothing by itself. It's a tool for achieving other things. It's a means to an end. So what is it? What is it that you really want to achieve? How much will you need? Like for me personally, I'm always thinking about my retirement. I'm thinking about when I go older, and I'm wondering if I'm going to have enough. It's one of the things that I've had to fight with. I've had to fight between investing my money in the education of my kids now or saving it for retirement. So that's one of the big decisions that has troubled me in my own financial life. I've wondered whether I'm making the right decision investing in my children's education rather than saving money for retirement. So can you show that this will go off in about 1 minute or 1 minute 30 seconds?
I'll just start and back. Keep going.
Okay. So yeah, so for me, that's one thing that I've battled with, and I made a decision on investing in my kids' education, and then doing what I can to save for my retirement on the premise that I will eventually add on top of that. But it's one of those decisions that I've had to really battle with as a person, and I'm still battling with. So we all have our battles that we go through, but it's all about really having a thought about it. For most people that I work with, it's hard to, they all have one issue or the other that they're battling with to be able to make these financial decisions, because as you know, it's not easy to make these financial decisions, to make the perfect financial decision. It's not an easy thing to do. But the most important thing here is the fact that you're making progress. It's about the fact that you're on the right track and you're making progress. That's what is important. If you've identified where you are and then you've made changes and you're making, you don't have to have all the answers at the same time. All you need to do is pick out some basic answers that you, as a work in progress, pick out basic answers that you're going to build on with time, because eventually as you go along and as you execute with time, you're going to be able to answer those questions better as you go along. But that awareness is where you want to be, and taking those steps is the most important thing, and make sure that you're making progress. So when we are spending money, we want to think about, we don't want to think only about our wants. We want to think about our needs first, and then we can go ahead and think about our wants. If you grew up without the shoes, like I explained earlier, and then now you're overcompensating for that, it now becomes something like an addiction. It's no more, it's moved away from, because you're not buying, you bought those shoes because you didn't have them in the past, and now you have the money, you're able to afford the shoes. So now that you bought enough shoes and you're happy, you're not going without shoes anymore. You've bought a good number of shoes, and they're there. If you keep buying without being conscious, it becomes like an addiction, and you need to overcome that, because you're now making your decision based on your on emotion, which is not a positive one. So yes, you grew up without shoes. Now you can afford the shoes, and you've bought enough shoes, and you can wear whatever shoe you want. But it doesn't mean that you need to fill up a room with shoes, right? You're now buying shoes and you're packing them down. You're not even wearing them. You can't wear all your shoes in a year. You're piling them up. So now it's now negative. It's now becoming negative on you. It's now a habit that you've developed that is now impacting negative on you, instead of you being happy. Instead of it bringing you joy, that I've now gotten to a position where I can afford this thing that I couldn't afford in the past. It's now become something that will cause you pain. So that's why being conscious and identifying this part of your emotion is important, because you want to limit. You want to know that, okay, yes, this is the reason. You want to identify the fact that this is the reason why I'm buying these shoes, and then you ask yourself the question, whether at this point, do I still really need to be buying these shoes? Do you really still need to be buying them? What impact is the continuous buying of these shoes having on me? Some people, maybe somebody will some other person may want to continue buying the shoes, and they may decide that I'll buy these shoes, but I'll give them out, like the ones that they are not wearing anymore, or maybe after a year or two of having the shoes, they may decide to start giving them away. So it becomes their charitable donation, right? So which means, so you look for solutions around that. I'm just giving like a possible solution. You look for a solution around that. Yes, new shoes come up, and you may always want to have your latest fashion, or your latest any type of shoe that you want to wear. Yes, you can still go around that. Like I said, you have your guilt-free bucket, whereby you've planned your money, you save, you've put money in your savings, you've put money in your investment, you put money in every other bucket that you need to put money in, and you've also put money in your guilt-free bucket, and your guilt-free bucket, you decided that you're going to spend it on shoes, because you absolutely cannot do without your shoes. That's fine. You don't have to, but then you may decide that I'm going to. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you.
Then my screen went off.
Yes.
Okay. So you may decide that my charitable donations, I'll be doing charitable donations, and these charitable donations will be shoes. I'll be giving shoes away rather than giving money away. So you may pick a charity and decide that you will be okay. Instead of I can't give up on my shoes issue. I like shoes. That's my own thing that I like, and I don't want to give up on it. Fine, no problem. The point is, make sure you plan it. Make sure that you're not letting go of other important things that you need to do in order to use that money to buy shoes, and find a solution around it. Like somebody doesn't want to come into your house and you're everywhere is shoes, right? Or you yourself, you don't have a space to pass in your house because you pile shoes everywhere. So you may decide that I'm going to pick a charity of my choice, and what I'm going to do is that the shoes that I want to wear shoes just for 1 year, and I'll give them away to my favorite charity. That could be your own charitable donation. They'll sell these shoes. They are still in a good condition. They'll sell them, and they will make money out of it. And that's my own way of contributing to that charity. So you may choose to do that, but it's about finding a solution. It's about finding a balance and ensuring that what you're doing doesn't stand in the way of other important things that you're doing because you had an addiction, or you let your emotions make a judgment, you let your emotions take the best part of you. Does that make sense? Did I answer that? Collins, did I answer that for you? Did that make sense for you?
Yeah, it does.
So, like I said earlier, it's not about being perfect in your decision making. It's about making progress and also try and don't get stuck. So one thing that is very common with people is that okay, they decided to take a step and make changes on things that they want to do, but then they get stuck in the process of starting. They want to analyze everything. They want to put a number or put what do you really want and all of that stuff. They get stuck on that, and then they finally never start because they haven't had the perfect answer, because they haven't, don't let that happen. Do what you need to do. Start making progress. Start gradually, and those answers will come with time. And then you want to sit down and imagine and visualize your future. What is it that you really want to achieve? What do you want your future to look like? You want to write that down. What does it mean to be financial? What does financial security mean for you as a person? What do you want your life to be? For me, someone like me, I'm a family person. I like having my family around, and I'm quite happy when I have family around me. One of the things I talk about every day and I laugh about it is the fact that I want a 6-7 bedroom house. In my later years, I want like a 7-bedroom house where I have family around me and people can come in and stay with me, and everybody will have enough space. Maybe I'll be blessed by God to have grandchildren, and grandchildren will run around, and all of that stuff. So, that's the type of thing I visualize. I actually have a printed a very massive I have a massive house with a massive garden, with so many rooms that I've printed, and I just look at it and I love it because that's what I see in my head, right? That's the type of retirement I want to have. I want to have a massive space where I have family around, because family means a lot to me. So yeah, so you want to visualize that. You want to think about what you want your future life to be, or what you want to achieve, and how you want your life to be, and you want to have that in your mind, and ask yourself what security, financial security or financial stability means for you. It's not everybody who wants the same thing. People want different things, and security means different things to different people. And so you want to find out what that means for you. Generally, the general definition for financial security is for people that you have it, is that you have enough. It's not that you have a limited resource. It's not that you have money everywhere and it's just lying about and you don't have what to do with. It's about the fact that you have enough. And there's a difference between being financially secure and being rich. Being financially secure means that you have enough and you're comfortable. You're not stressed about money. Being rich, on the other hand, it's like you have more than enough, and it's not a bad thing. But the only problem with that is that a lot of people spend the time fantasizing about being rich, and then they end up never even being stable, or never even being never even being successful with their present. They think about they sit there and imagine winning the lottery with having millions and millions of pounds, and probably they spend their life chasing lottery tickets and all of that stuff. They never put in the action that they need. They never take the actions that they need to take now to be okay. Um, and then they finally achieving none of them. So you want to find out what stability, financial stability means for you. You want to understand what security means for you. If you're debt free, you have sufficient income, you have sufficient assets that will enable you live comfortably, without necessarily having an extravagant lifestyle, and being able to help family and friends when it's needed. I believe that's being financially stable. A lot of people don't have that. A lot of us don't have that. Personally, I don't have that yet. I'm not there yet. I'm working towards that, but I'm not there yet. There are times that I have family back in Cameroon that will call me to say, "Oh, I need this." Like, these are people that really need help. I'm not talking about the ones where they want to call you and just ask for money to go out and drink with, like people who really have real serious problems that they need solving. And I'm not able to I'm not able to support them the way I want to support them. But I want to be in that position. I want to be in that position where I'm comfortable, I'm debt free, I'm happy with my money, and I'm able to help other people as well without being stressed out. That for me, that's the position where I want to be in. I don't necessarily need to have loads and loads of money sitting there in huge amounts. Yeah, that would be good, but then what's the chance that I'm going to get there? That's why we know like 1%, 2% of the population of the world are in that position. But then you don't want to sit there and fantasize about being in that position. You want to work towards what is achievable, what you can easily achieve. And when I look back at my life, I can see a whole lot of, we all have mistakes that we've made. I don't have a history of being extravagant as such. But then when I look back at what I know now, just for the length of time that I've been in this country, I can see that there are a lot of things that I didn't do, which if I had a lot of things I know now that I didn't know before, which if I had done from when I came here and I lived through my years here, there are just basic little things that I would have done over the years, which would have put me in a really good financial position right now without me stressing, that I didn't do because I didn't have the knowledge. I didn't have the financial knowledge. So there are a lot of things that we can do, which don't require a lot, but which will put us in a really good financial position, without us stressing and without us necessarily going out of our way. But they'll put, like when they say making little changes that have huge impacts. A lot of we can do that, and we can definitely achieve that. So understand what a financially secure life means for you. Think about it. And if you're not thinking about it yet, it's about time you start doing that. It's about time you sit down and really have that deep insight, thought about all of these things. I mean, some people would like to travel the world. They would like to have different experiences going around the world. They would like to have a bigger car. They would like to have a bigger house, with family, like I said, in my case. So you want to identify what that means for you. Some people want to be able to, if you were to wake up in some part of the world where you're comfortable, where you want to live your life in, where would that be? You want to think about all of that, and what you want to do is you want to notice how, when you're thinking about that thing that you really want, you're thinking about how you feel about it. Like I said, for me, when I close my eyes and I think about a huge house where I have family around and everybody's happy, kids playing around, I'm really happy about it. It makes me happy. So those are the type of things that you want to think about and ask yourself, and then that is going to help you to work towards that. Some people like to donate to charity. Like they want to give, they want to be able to give to charity and be happy about it. If that's you, think about where you need to be able to do that and be happy. So when you think about all of these things and you imagine you imagine them and think about, and then you understand how you feel about them, then it's going to help you when you start um when you start executing, because these emotions are what will keep you on track. Because unless you feel something, like I said before, money is emotional. It's when you feel, it's when you have those feelings and the way those things make you feel. That's when you know that you want to put in the work. That's when you want to take the steps to achieve that thing. I've worked with clients, and I when the client sits before me and you give them a good plan, based on what they've told you about their present situation, where they are at, and when they can see, when you can make them see how working on what they have now can take them to where they want to be, they are really happy. You can see, you can feel it, in the way, in the expressions on their face. You can see how somebody's face moves from being normal to just beaming. You can see how they can achieve. I had a client last week who came in and he said he gone through a divorce and he now has a new girlfriend, and they wanted to buy a £1 million property in a year's time, in 2 years' time, sorry. And so we're assessing their current situation in order to see how they can get to where they want to be. But telling them that right now they need to rent a small apartment, and where they will live, to be able to save that money up and spend less to be able to get they are happy doing it, because they know they are not looking at what is happening right now, but they are looking at it in 2 years' time, when they have their £1 million apartment, how they are going to feel about it, and that so whatever is happening now, wherever they are living now, it doesn't really matter, because they are not thinking about these next 2 years. They are thinking about what happens within this 2 years period. They are thinking about their £1 million apartment. So cutting down on their spending now, living in this tiny little apartment and all of that stuff doesn't bother them. And you can see how they smile through taking that action. And then finally, you want to tell yourself that I will achieve this. You want to tell yourself that you're a winner. You want to, then you make a decision. You want to make that decision to say, I am going to do this. Whatever I've decided, whatever I've written down, or what I want to achieve, I will achieve it. And when you do that and make that decision and tell yourself that, and make that decision, then you can see that it's going to be easier for you to take those steps that you want to take. Otherwise, if in the past somebody has taught you on how to make a budget, and you've just picked up a piece of paper and you're scribbling or writing down what you should spend money on a month, or what you should not spend money on, you're going to do it for 1 week. If I told you're going to do it for 1 week, 2 weeks, and that's going to be the end of it. There is no there's no connection. That emotion is not there. So you're going to stop doing it after a very short period of time, because you didn't give it a deeper thought. If you discover that you're in debt, and you've made up your mind that in 2 years' time, I am going to pay off all my student loan, irrespective of what happens, I am going to pay off that loan. When you do that, you're going to realize that you're going to start taking those steps that will enable you pay off that student loan debt. And because you've sat down and you had a deeper thought about it, you've thought about what will happen to you, what the impact will be of you paying off that debt. How is it going to impact your life? How is it going to change your life? How is moving forward from there going to change your situation? When you have all of those thoughts, and you feel those emotions, you realize that doing everything in your power to pay off that debt will be your primary concern, and you're not going to care. It's not going to matter to you the hurdles that you're going to face while you're in the process. So when you do all of that, like I said, whatever hurdles that you're going to that you encounter on your way will not be a problem, because achieving financial success is a long-term process. It's not something that you just wake up one morning, as we all know. That's why we are all struggling, right? We've been working. I mean, I'm sure we all we started working in our early or late 20s, but we are still struggling. We are still on the struggle, because it's not that simple. It takes us getting to a position of being really conscious and making those conscious decisions. And anything financial, it's long term. Yes, we do have some short term financial goals, but it's long term. It's generally long term when you want to achieve something substantial. And we have bad days, we have bad months, we have bad years. And in 2020, when the pandemic hit, I lost my job. I told you guys that I lost my job, and it wasn't funny, right? It was one of those times where I didn't see it coming. Like, I didn't see losing my job coming. I didn't see it at all, and it just happened. Lockdown happened like 2 weeks after I lost my job, and initially it was like the world was coming to an end, but I had to take a step back and and bring myself together and pull through. And in those next six months, before I went back to work, even though I wasn't where I wanted to be, but there are still a few milestones that I achieved within that time period that I didn't even know myself that I could achieve. And that was just down to the fact that I did do quite a lot of planning, and I'm kind of conscious about money. And I mean, my mortgage payments, for example, haven't changed. Like, a lot of we had the option of taking mortgage breaks and all of that stuff. Yeah, I took a mortgage break, but still I was conscious about the interest on my mortgage. And because of that, I still paid that interest element on my mortgage, because I didn't want to be paying interest on interest, just because of the fact that I'm financially aware of the impact of me cutting off completely from my mortgage payments. I'm aware of that, what that would do to my finances. So I didn't want to do that. So I no matter what was happening, I made sure that I kept up that aspect of my payments, irrespective of the fact that I was allowed to not pay anything at all. So it's just being conscious, it's just being aware of of the impacts of the decisions that we make around us. So, but you have those bad, like those bad days. Like I said, it could be bad months and even extend to bad years. But still, because of the fact that you've made a decision, you discover that even you go through those, no matter how long the bad period is, you will go through and you still emerge successful, because of the fact that you had built a foundation, you had built a strong foundation before you made the decision. So there are three steps. Generally, there are three steps to achieving financial stability. You spend less than you earn, you invest wisely, and you insure yourself against disasters. But today we are going to be focusing only on the first one, which is the foundation: spending less. Less of what you earn, because that is the foundation of everything else. If you don't build that foundation, obviously you won't even have the money to invest, right? You won't even have the money to insure yourself as well. So it's down to you being able to have that strong foundation of spending less of your money, so that you have money that you can use to do whatever else you want to do. And that's where creating your spending plan comes in. So now that you've identified why you need your own money management system, and why you may have failed in the past creating one, it's now time for us to learn how to create a spending plan that will work for you. The very, very first step, one thing I needed to understand is that this step, even as important as it is, it's not easy. It's not an easy step, because it's down to you changing something. It's down to the fact that you need to change some habits that you've had in the past. It's down to the fact that you need to develop and change your emotions and all of that. So, but then when you've gone past those, and you've actually mastered the process, it becomes easy. It's actually easy to set up, but it's not very easy getting to the point where you actually set up. So automation is one of the steps that you will take in the process that will help you, and it makes it really easy. Someone like me, I've not paid a bill, I've not had money to pay a bill, or like write a check to pay a bill, or I've not done that for a really long time, because I breed automation. So I could go for a whole month without touching money, basically. I've automated everything around me. It makes it easier for me. My credit cards are paid on automation. It just makes it easier. Like I've set up everything in a way that I don't have to worry about. So I know that whatever money is left in my current account, that's my guilt-free spending money. I can spend that any way I want. So that's what is left there. That's mine. To buy shoes if I want them. But yeah. So step number one, if you're starting out the process, is to identify your spending habits. So now you've come to that point where you want to sit down and do some thinking and some writing. So identify your spending habits. What does that mean? It means, what are you spending your money on? What is it that you're spending your money on? I had a friend who had some issues with her spouse, and it was down to the fact that he thought he was giving enough money, because at the end of the money he gave money, like, okay, here's money, and that's it. And he doesn't know what this money is spent on, right? He believes that this money that he gives out is enough, or it should be more than enough. But what is this? What are they spending this money on? He doesn't know. And that's not really a good thing, because you may sit there thinking that you're doing what you should be doing, but then you realize that you're not, because you don't actually know what your money is being spent on. So which is one of the biggest things that people experience. Down to the credit card thing I was talking about. When I go through this step most of the time with my clients, some of them actually cry, because they realize that they realize that what they've been spending their money on is not what they actually want to spend their money on. And you know, because it's a realization that is sometimes shocking to some people, because they just realize that, wow, I don't even know what I've been spending my money on. They can't believe, like, when they work out how much they've been spending on certain things, they can't believe that this is how much money they've actually spent on these things, which is not what they really wanted. So you want to ensure that you take your bank statements out, or your bills, everything that you can use to track your money, to track what you spend your money on. You want to sit down and actually write it out. If you're good at spreadsheets, do that. Use a spreadsheet and write down what you spend your money on. Know what you spend your money on, and have values assigned to it. So your credit card, your current account statements, I don't know, in the US you call them checking accounts, I believe. So your current account statements, your credit card statements, your bills. Sometimes you may want to have like you may want to have like three months of bank statements in a go, or more, because sometimes there are some expenses that come like once every quarter, or once in 6 months, that you're not aware of, or that you will not like readily remember. So you want to sit down and go through your bank statements and identify what you actually spend your money on. This is step number one, which is really, really important in the process. And then when you've identified all everything that you spend your money on, you want to add up all the amounts that you spend your money on, to understand how much you've actually spent on each of those expenditures that you've identified. How much have you spent on each of those within the month? And then your step 2 is you want to categorize your expenses, as in you want to put them in many people always think that they cannot control their expenses, because like generally you hear that man will do high, we have to pay this, we have to pay that. But we do have categories of our expenses, and what category your expenses fall in will determine how much control you have on those expenses, and that will help you as well in knowing where you can save money. So you want to split those expenses into 2 categories. So you have your low level control expenses, which are what you generally call your fixed costs. So those things that you need to survive. So like your rent or your mortgage amounts, what you pay for your car loan or your travel or any other loan that you're paying, your insurance costs, those monies that you have to pay, those things that you have to pay every month, those expenses that you have to pay every month. And you have little control over. And then you have your high level control expenses, and these are your semi-fixed costs, and these ones they are mostly down to your usage. So you're in charge. Your utilities, like your gas and electric. Some people may want to put gas and electric under your fixed costs because they believe that you have to pay gas and electric anyway. But yes, that's true. That's why they are semi-fixed. But in as much as you have to pay it, you have control over how much you pay, because it's down to your consumption. Often it's when people actually sit down and write these things out that they can identify how much they've actually spent on these things, and then they start realizing that, oh, I could save some money by controlling my usage. Water bills, your telephone bills, your Wi-Fi, your subscriptions, groceries, your hair, toiletries, your shoes, your clothes, your laundry, cable, donations. So those are all, and most of our expenses fall in this category. This is a category of expenses where we have control over. Yes, they are there. We have to pay them, but it's down to our usage. It's down to how it's down our consumption, and this is where we can make a lot of savings. If you're conscious, like I gave an example of the gym, for example. If you really need your gym, but you discover that you're busy at work and you can only make 1 day a week to the gym or 2 days, you don't have to buy a monthly subscription. If you sit there and do some planning and do some numbers together, you realize that a pay as you go, it will be more helpful. And some people always have that false impression that, oh, if I pay for it, I will use it. That's not true. It's only that it's down to your beliefs. Like you said earlier on at the beginning of this meeting, when he was talking to Ruth, that you do know how many times she started. It's down to you making a decision that I will go to the gym. If you don't make that decision and stick to it, no matter if you care, pay £12,000 for gym membership, it's not going to happen. You're not going to use it. It's going to be money down the drain. So it's down to our attitude and it's down to our attitude towards whatever we want to achieve. And the money that you spend on something, the amount of money you spend on something doesn't determine whether you're successful on it or not. It's all about your attitude towards that thing. Some people will not even go to the gym. I don't go to the gym, but I make 10,000 steps every day. Like that was my goal for 2021. I've not been 100% successful, but I've been 90% so far. So you don't have to go to the gym to achieve. Like sometimes it's very cold at night when I get back from work and I've done homework and I've put the kids in bed, but because I'm still at 5,000 steps, I have to go out. It's freezing cold. It's late in the night, like 10 p.m. But I won't sleep until I have those 10,000 steps. So that's it. So it's down to your attitude towards whatever you want to achieve. It's not down to how much money you spend on it. So step number 3 is when you've now had your expenses at hand, you now want to deduct how much you spend from how much you earn. So this is that all important step where you want to know whether you're spending more than you're earning. Sorry, I just want to close the door. So this is that all important step where you want to determine whether you're spending more than you're earning, or you're on track with your spending, or you're spending less than you're earning. So when you put all of these together and you deduct, then it gives you a figure. And are you in the negative or are you in the positive? If you have a positive balance at this step, congratulations. You're already doing a good job. What you then need to do is go ahead and find areas where you can do even better. On the other hand, if you had a negative balance, congratulations still, because you started something, and that awareness alone is one of the primary things. It's something really important. Being aware of something is the first step that we have before we can take the next step to taking action. So if you went through that step and it wasn't positive, but you're now aware, that now means that you can take steps to make things better, and that's really powerful, and it's a really good thing. Step number 4 is that you want to now analyze your spending. You want to go now into all of those expenses that you've written down, and you want to look at those areas within your expenses where you can reduce your spending. And that's where the categorization will help you. So with those areas where you have low level control, you can put those ones aside for now. And for those ones that you have high level control, which is where the greater part of our expenditure falls anyway, you want to go through them and look through. And one of the things that we often don't think about, something like our internet, for example. 2 months ago, our internet provider increased our cost from about £26 a month to £33 a month. And I called my husband. I'm like, the price of our internet has gone up. And that's one thing. If you're not looking at your expenses, this price will go up and you will not even know that they've increased it, because they will not call you or not ring you or to tell you that, oh, we are increasing the price or something. Probably like for us, we went to the end of our plan, and then they just switched us to a new plan, and it went up to £33 a month. And so when I called my husband, I'm like, our internet has gone up. You want to call the internet company? So he was like, okay. So he called the internet company, and all he needed to do was just tell them that, you know what, we are going to switch supplier if you have to maintain this rate, because we found cheaper rates somewhere. And they were like, okay, fine, we are going to maintain it. So you see, these are easy ways of saving money on those items that you're already paying for. A lot of the times like cable, for example, you want to look at those and find out, am I really look all the services that they are offering? Do I really need all of these services that are within the plan that I'm paying for? One phone call to your provider to tell them that, you know what, this is what I really need, but I have all these other things that are included in my plan. What can you do to reduce my expenditure on this? It's one of two things they may do. They may tell you that, oh, okay, we'll leave your plan at what it is, but reduce how much you're paying for. Or they may tell you that, okay, we'll take this out that you're not using, and then reduce the cost of your plan. But if you don't ask, you